Welcome to the Femininja Project. I am your host, Cheryl Ilove, middle-aged ninja hiding in plain sight, dedicated to restoring human dignity one person at a time and helping you unleash your personal power. Discover that it's possible to look like a woman, act like a lady, move like a ninja, and think like a warrior. And remember, men are always welcome on the Femininja Project. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Femininja Project, and thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you, and you are in for a special treat today. My guest is an amazing woman. Her name is Dr. Leah Reddig. She is actually joining us from Germany. She is an entrepreneur and founder of Stepping Grace, an international and renowned speaker. She's an author, a transitional life coach, and proud mother of two young children, a boy and a girl. She is also an international leader for She Exists with her Who Are You show. Dr. Reddig considers herself a motivator and an empowerment to the broader community. She's a fascinating woman. Dr. Reddig, thank you so much for being on the show and welcome.
Thank you, Cheryl, for inviting me to your show. I'm so honored to be here because I know that you're doing great and awesome things out there with women, with families, with actually all the personalities that you are empowering and inspiring.
Well, back at you because you truly are amazing. So what I would love for you to do is just start telling us a little bit about yourself, about your journey and how you came to this part in this place in your life where you're now an international speaker. You have spoken on two like really incredible platforms. You started your own podcast. So just give us a little bit of background. Who is Dr. Leah Reddig?
So thank you so much, Cheryl, once again. And, I find it awesome that you're asking me, who is Dr. Reddig? Because my show is called Who Are You? So I'm always the one who is like, kind of tell us a little bit about who you are, because, it's a word that, people identify with in different ways, but exactly who the person is about your purpose and your vision and, the empowerment that you put out there. So I am Dr. Leah. Actually, I live and work in Germany. As you've just said, I'm a mother of two, but more I am a visionary and an entrepreneur, an empowerer and motivator to many people, especially people who feel like they're not worthy. The reason why I say they feel like they're not worthy is because I was once in that place where I never knew that I could be in a position where I can stand and talk to many. Me being able to just speak and express certain things that I feel are, empowering people, bringing people into my platform to empower is something that was never in my mind. It never occurred to me that I could do something like that. Of course, in my career, I do a lot of talking because I do a lot of presentation, because I do a lot of traveling, and I work with a medical device company doing clinical research as well. And so that is a one-time off where, you can do once in a while a presentation and you have that like breathing in and breathing out. Finally, it is done. But, coming to this position where you feel like you're fulfilling your purpose, where I feel my purpose is to empower people. My story is to encourage somebody who is out there who feels like, maybe I might not have all the qualifications I have, the education that I'm supposed to be having, but nevertheless, all that is not important because that is not who you are. You are that person, that passion that is burning inside you. And the passion for me that has been burning for a very long time is to be somebody who empowers people, somebody who lives and encourages people to know that they can be anything they want to be. And a little bit about my story. When I was young, I was raised by my grandparents, and we were two grandchildren, and my mom and her siblings were 5 kids. So we were kind of all being raised in one house. And we grew up in that family. It was a very, very, just a middle standing family. We were not very well off. Originally, I come from Kenya. And so for me, as I was growing, I was always aiming to become somebody. but I couldn't tell what is that becoming somebody, because, from my background, you sit, you watch movies, you see things, you see lifestyle, and you say, that is what you want to be. But then, it's because of where you are surrounding yourself with. But as I gradually, did my schooling and went to college and started my university, I realized my life is actually beyond that. And I was always very ambitious. I was always ambitious, wanting to travel, because I just loved traveling. Because even when we were young, the company that my grandma used to work with, every holidays we used to travel, because the company used to offer such kind of activities where, we would travel to the animal parks, we would go to museums where we can learn something. And that was something that I really grew with as a passion as well, because I knew traveling brings you to places that you would never be able to, just normal want to look at. Because if you don't have the TV to watch, then you can have see it physically. And so that was something that was very passionate for me. And so once I finished my college, I decided I want to travel abroad. And my first application for higher university was Australia, because Australia was a country that is the passion for me. And Perth Australia is just a city that I've always loved. Just to know that they have those beaches around. It's not like in Kenya there was no beach, because we have the coastal areas. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, for some reason, just Perth intrigued me. And I think it intrigued me more because we used to watch a lot of Australian series. And so that is something that I could always watch and see. And I was like, wow, I want to go to Perth one day. And by that time, I didn't even know that it's just a city within a country. For me, it was Perth like a country. So I was like growing and having that ambition to go to a country called Perth, until when I finished, I realized it's in Australia. It's a city in Australia. And so I started applying to study abroad. And then when I was about to travel to Australia, I was diverted. And, there was Dubai all of a sudden. Mm. And I thought, okay. So it was like an option that I was getting. So my first travel was to go to Dubai. But before I went to Dubai, I visited my auntie who used to live in Germany. So when I came to Germany, I was like, and it was in the Bayern area. That is they are really very German. Mm. So for me, it's like, no, that's not where I want to be. I don't want to change my language. I love my English language. I'm not a linguistic person, so I wouldn't want to learn any other language. That's a huge stress factor for me. So I was so excited. I said, okay, I am going to Australia. That is the country. And then the option for Dubai came, and I thought, okay, let me just try. But, my passion was still Australia. So I went to Dubai. I also continued with my education, and I worked there for around 7 years. I worked with different kinds of companies. I started with a constructing company. And then I moved into ISO certification consulting company. It was a British company. I worked there, and we were kind of certifying most of the companies within the Middle East and the Gulf region, so that they can be able to do business with the Western countries, because by then is when they were starting. So when I was there, it was a complete desert. Just seeing Dubai being like New York right now, it's like, wow, you can live and see a city come from zero to something. And so I was there since 1999 and to around 2005. And then I met my ex. And, we had our first child, and I had to move from there because I couldn't live there by myself. Even though I just did not want to leave my job, I thought, okay, so I have to sacrifice. So I came to Germany, and I was really frustrated because I couldn't speak the language. And I was like, wow, that is a language I will never, ever learn, because it's different. it has a lot of wordings for just one sentence. One thing that I would say in English, one word, it will cost me 3 words in German. I was like, wow, how can a language be so heavy? And so as I was almost due with my daughter, I was like, the minute I give birth, I will go and learn this language. So I purposely chose to live in a very small village, a village inside a village. When you say countryside is more sexy, it's more, exciting. But when you say village, it's really a village. It's something like, wow, okay. So most of the people I used to meet international, they'll say, you're very brave. I said, yes, because I want to learn the language. I wanted to ensure that I get back on my feet. I go back to the, corporate world, because I just couldn't imagine myself being a housewife, just, waking up, doing house chores, taking care of the children, and that's it. For me, life was more than that. And I was happy because I said, I will not stop until I get to where I want to be. So I learned the language, and then I started applying for jobs. My language was not very perfect, but, me being the bold I am, I said, I will speak it until it can speak me, because otherwise I will not make it. And so I did a lot of interviews. I met a lot of interesting people. I met a lot of interesting characters and attitudes and mindsets. But, none of those deterred my ambition. I said, it doesn't matter how people look at me or think about me, I will make it. And so after a while, I started working in a church organization. So I started as an administrative person, but it was in English, so it was very good. And but still, I was, juggling my German language as well. And so after a year and a half of working there, I got a job with it was an Austrian company. And that is even a different level of German, because they speak very deep. They speak, it's like when you come to, when you go to England, you say they speak a good English, but when you go to Scotland, they are even more deep, or in Wales, it is even deeper. It's like, it's like they're not opening their mouth. So it's like, could you please open your mouth so I can clearly understand what you're saying? And so for me, it was that hard. And I was like sitting in one of the trainings in Austria, and I was like, I was looking at this gentleman, and after a while he got disturbed because, he said, is there an issue? I said, I just want to confirm that the German I have learned is the same German you're speaking, because for some reason you keep repeating a word, and I'm trying to connect this word to the whole discussion. And so when I asked, he was like, yes, that's the same word. I was like, okay. So everybody busted out with laugh, and they were like, okay, so that's why you are mimicking, you're doing your face, because I was trying hard to get everything, So I worked with a company. It was a chemical company, and they had kind of innovated a new form of a chemical compound. And this chemical compound was a compound that could be used for different market segments. And that would be for like an additive in pharmaceutical companies, like, a cleaning agent for, other manufacturing companies, or it can be used as a surplus of an addition, supplement, or for wherever activities companies would like to use it. So manufacturing, all of them. So I worked there for around 2 years. And mind you, before I started working in this company, I went for the interview. And when I went for that interview, it was an interview that I'd already done a lot of interviews. And because of the stigmatization that was then with people, people see colored woman, you're trying the language, but it's still not working. And and I was always so bold. I wouldn't see anything wrong with my broken German, so I would just speak it and hope that you understand. And if you shake your head or you ask me a question back, I believe you've understood what I tried to bring forth. So it was always very funny. And so when I went to the interview for this chemical company, I sat in front. He was a director, and I sat in front of him. I introduced myself, everything, and he looked at me and he said, "So you, as a colored person, how will you make it in this German market?" And I was like, "What?" I got confused. So I thought probably maybe I didn't understand the question properly. So I kind of retracted the question back to him, like, to my understanding, is this what you asked me? And he said yes. And I was like, okay, so this is now too far for me, because I was like, you hear certain things, you hear, people talk about racism, you hear about discrimination, but if you've never experienced it, you would never think it is really existing. You'd never even feel it. You'd be like, why are people too much on this topic? So I was shocked. And I thought, okay, I composed myself and I was like, okay, could you kindly show me the CV that you received? So he showed me, and it was my photo on it. And I was like, okay, when you invited me to the interview, did you look at the photo on the CV? He said, yes. I said, okay. Did you realize the person is a colored person? He said, yes. And I asked him, so why are you asking me this kind of a question? And he was like, yes, I just want to understand. I said, you know what? First and foremost, before I answer your question, when you called me for this interview, you say you saw everything, you read my CV, you saw my photo, you knew who is coming. So one thing I will make clear for you is that even though you called me, maybe for some reason you wanted to meet a colored person, the fact remains is that I came here because God wanted me to show up in this company. And whether you employ me or not, I will make it in this country. And by the time I'm finishing in this country, you will probably not be knowing who I am. And he looked at me and he said, you're very bold. I've never seen anybody so bold like you. I said, even you're bold, because you asked me a very interesting question. I never knew I would meet such kind of a question in my whole entire life. And then here I am, I'm sitting right in front of you, and you're asking me that question. I was shocked. If you could realize, I was a little bit shocked. So, of course, a bold question deserves a bold answer. I don't think there is any need for us to continue with this interview, because you already have a picture in your mind that, you don't see somebody like me, qualifying in this market. So I don't think we need to extend this discussion. And he wanted to do this. I said, no, I don't think I am really comfortable. And so, the interview just ended like that. And I went back home and I was in the bus and I was thinking to myself, wow, I have really been confronted with this. I never knew I would be confronted with such kind. And I was cooking inside. And, during those times, I was somebody who was really temperamental. There are so many things that would really annoy me, especially when it comes to that direction. And so I was really composed, but I was really shocked and I was thinking so much. And I was kind of trying to, retract the interview from the beginning to understand, how did this person come to this position? So I went home, I spoke to my ex. I was like, can you imagine something like this? And he was like, yeah. I said, you can't even try to explain it. He said, don't worry, that is not a place where. I said, yeah, but still, I took my time to leave the house to go there,
Mm-hmm.
all the connection, because I was, and I still live in the countryside. Like I say, I live in a very small village, inside a village. So I was like, the connection took me almost 2 hours. So I was like, 2 hours to go and be confronted with that. I could have just done it over the phone. I didn't need really to go and be confronted with that. So, I just thought, okay, my daughter is here. I will just, do my normal things and everything will be fine. So that week, it was on a Monday. And so I just continued with my normal activities the whole week. And then come Thursday, I received a call and I was like, okay. So I thought it was another interview. So I was like, okay, prepare yourself. It might be something different. And I take the call and it's this guy again. I was like, what? This guy, what's wrong with him? Like, really? You can't just be the same person on my neck. Something is just not right with you. When he was like, no. My partner wants to meet you. I was like, no, so that I don't want you people to insult me again. So I don't think I really need. He said, no. Just come. My partner wants to meet you. So I said, okay, I will go. My ex was like, are you really sure? I said, yeah, I will go. I know I feel very annoyed, but I will still go. Let me see. Let's pick this partner. You never know. Maybe the partner is somebody different and just wants to, who knows? So I went. I met the guy. He came from Austria. So I was like, okay, finally I'm meeting somebody from Austria. So we talked. He said, I don't want to go through your CV. I already seen it. And my partner's already talked a lot about you. I was like, what? Talked about me? What did they talk about me? But he said, no, it's all good. I said, he said, you are a very bold person. And he just didn't thought that you could be very bold to speak back like that. And which it's something that we really liked. We really felt like this is the right person. I was like, what? I looked at him. I said, no, you people might, something is just not right. I said, yeah, we like people who they stand for what they believe is right. And your boldness is something that, we've been looking and considering we are a startup company, we want bold people who will not be shaken off by things that, will be thrown on their face. I was like, oh, okay, interesting. So we kind of just discussed normal about, life, where I come from, how Austria people think, just the general things. And that was it. And then I went back home. And a day after, I got my contract and I started working for the company, And the first week I was like on the plane, I went to Austria and I was like, okay, this is interesting. So people can really get jobs just like that, and looking that it was a chemical company and I don't have any chemical background because I did business and economics. And so chemical company, I was like, wow, I'm going back to chemistry. It was not one of my best subjects, but yeah, it's back again on the on the table, and we have to, kind of work together. And so, yeah, I worked in that company for 2 years, and they wanted me to move to Austria. I said, no, I can't because I had family. So I kind of started looking again for another job before they closed the office here in Frankfurt. After that, when I started looking for another job, I met a lady and she was like, I am looking for people to work in clinical research. I was like, what is clinical research? And she was like, she explained to me, I was like, no, still I don't get it. What is clinical research? I've never heard of it, And so she started trying, the tests people do. Most of the people will say that, we bring medical, pharmaceuticals or medical devices into the market, and you have to be tested first. And so these tests are done in clinical research. So meaning we start with animals, and then we go to human beings, and then slowly we finish different phases, and then we are able to bring it into the market. I was like, wow, that is very interesting. So I was like, so what qualification are you looking for? Because I don't think I have any biological qualification to do something like this. She said, no, you will not need that because I believe you can do it. I was like, wow, okay. What makes you think I can do that? And she said, because looking at your background, you're somebody who, you've traveled different countries, and you seem very bold and very outgoing. So I think you will be good. Just, try and see. So it was a clinical research organization. She applied because she was a recruiter. So they applied. I did my first interview. It was a telephone interview. which was also very interesting because back then, it was 2007, 2008, no, 2010 around. So for me, I'd never done telephone interviews before. So it was very interesting because I was learning different things. I was like, wow, people can do interviews on the telephone. We only know you have to be physical, you get the appointment, you go physical. Because my former company, I did it physical. So for me to be told I can do telephone interviews, I was like, so how do you do the telephone interview? Like, they call you and they talk to you, they've not seen you, what will happen? And say, yeah, that way they get to know you, they get to, understand who they are bringing on, because that way you can express yourself. Then they can invite you for the second interview where you go personally so that they can see the personality. I said, okay. So I did my first interview with that clinical research organization. It's a big player in the market. Then they invited me, I went, and I met all these ladies, and they were so lovely. They were really lovely. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And, they told me they would want to, have me on board and when I can start. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. My second job is like so fast. And like when I was looking for my first job, it took a lot of time and stress and everything. So I went back home and I was like, wow, I can start a new job in a month's time. And actually I could have started it in a week's time, but I said, no, I need some time to organize myself, because I first wanted to go and really, prepare myself, organize how my daughter will be taken care of, because she was still small. She was not yet going to the kindergarten. So I had to organize all that logistics. So I went home and immediately we started looking at the whole logistic, how she will start early, baby classes, so that she has somebody who is be taking care of her. And because for me, after my church administrative job, I had said I want only full-time jobs where I work the whole day. And so it was not easy to get the daycares, but God was on my favor, and so I got a daycare where she could go. So she used to go to first to a daycare, and she'd go for like from 9 in the morning until 5 in the evening. So I would kind of find my way to juggle all that. And so I quickly realized I need to do my driving license so that I can get the EU driving license, because I couldn't use my foreign driving license. And so I did that in a snap of 3 weeks. So I was like, now you have to get things like at a blink of an eye. You put it on the table, you do it, you get rid of it, and it has to work. So that is how I started pushing things over. I did my driving license in three weeks. I got my driving license. I kind of went into a platform, eBay platform. I never knew what eBay was. So when I got introduced to it, I was like, okay, I'm going to do a bidding for a car. I was like, okay, so this is something else I need to learn. I did the bid for a car. I got my first car. I bought it for 400 euros. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And so that's how I started even driving here. Mind you, when I was doing my driving license, I did it with my daughter when she was small. So I would carry her with her car seat. I sit her at the back and I'm driving. So you can imagine when the driving teacher steps on the brakes, you're like, okay, the child.
Oh my goodness. I am so blown away by your story. This is so fantastic. And the words that just keep reverberating in my head is not only bold, but bold and beautiful. I mean, your story is just amazing. So continue.
So after that, I bravely started driving in Germany, and it was not very easy because we do right hand side, and I come from the left hand side, so it was very tricky. So every time I am on the road, if I have to go right turn, I have to start thinking. So I'm writing, like using my hands. Okay, this is my right hand. Okay, so right hand is this side, or this is my left, so left side is, because I couldn't connect that in my mind. It was really, I was practically like a newborn babe trying to learn everything.
I was going to ask you about that because I wasn't sure if, you learned to drive on the right side and then had to go to the left side, or vice versa. And I couldn't imagine trying to do
Yes,
that.
and it's very interesting because it takes time for you to really get to, having to switch your brain into different things. First, you switch your brain into a language, then you switch your brain into how you operate, And so for me, it took a lot of discipline. And it was a discipline that, I said, I have to, because I have to make it here because of my family. And so, I did all that. I started doing working. I started traveling. I was meeting people, and especially, when you hear a professor, you have all those titles, and you're like, now I have to express myself in German. So I'm kind of revising everything. I'm trying to do it, and when I'm in front of the people, it's just like it was like the German was just flowing.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, this is amazing. The brain has its own element and way of really pushing somebody into that place if you really want it. Because it was very interesting how I could switch into the German that I learned, and not perfectly, but I could express it, And whenever I would travel with my manager, he was like, I don't understand how you operate. When you're talking with people normal, your German is a struggle. But when you're presenting something, it's very understandable, and somebody wouldn't know that you just have, like 2-3 years in this country. I was like, I don't know, but I believe the brain can carry you to wherever you want to be. And it's the mind. If you set to want something and to do something, your mind can take you to places that you cannot believe, you cannot imagine. And so back into the clinical research, I started as an assistant, and I quickly grew into becoming a monitor, where I could go to the hospitals and monitor the protocols of the studies that we were working on. And I was basically working on oncology study, neurology study, diabetes studies. And so you can imagine somebody who came first from business economic background, and here you're dealing with scientific things. It's another switch. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to make myself very clever. In the night, I would learn, and during the day, I would work. And in between, I will take care of my kids. And so I did that. And I also pursued my, business economic master's and PhD. And at the same time, I did my project management certification, and I did the whole clinical research trainings. So I was so determined to learn these things. I was so determined because I said, this is an opportunity that I will not get again. And if I don't do it now, I will never be able to do it. And so I did that, and I gradually grew into the clinical research industry. I learned a lot of things, and I got the next position. I grew into the next position, and then I was quickly from office job into traveling and doing home office. And I was like, wow, life can change in a matter of time if you pay attention, if you have interest, if you want, and you go out for it. That means you have to sacrifice a lot of things. By that time, my ex was like, why are you doing all these things? I was like, you are favored. You can just show up and they will give you anything. But I have to work hard for it. And so I am sacrificing this. And it doesn't matter what it is, I am sacrificing. But at the end of the day, I know what is going to come out of it. So, that is how I came into clinical research. And now I work for a medical device company where we also still, we do clinical studies. So I have done both pharmaceutical companies and medical devices, and I decided to, start entrepreneurship. And basically that came up because I wanted the freedom of being able to take care of my children, travel with them, do a lot of things with them. And I realized being an entrepreneur, that is the only place that can bring you that kind of a lifestyle. And so last year, when the pandemic struck, is when it was kind of a wake-up call. And for me, before I realized I could come to that place, because you dream, you want to do all these things, but you don't find the time. But then pandemic came, and so the time came. And I made the She Exists CEO. She's called Janelle Harris, and she advertised something on women helping women. And she was like, I'm doing a book and I'm looking for, co-authors. And I was like, okay. I've also wanted to write a book, but, I was totally against Facebook, because I used to think Facebook is a place where people can get scammed. You get all these fake people, But something just told me, what do you have to lose? So I got into contact with her. We started chatting, and she told me her vision with the books. And I told her, I would want to, be a co-author. And so we started, and within a couple of communication and conversations with her, she told me, do you know you can write a book for yourself, even as you're doing the co-authoring? I was like, no, let me first do the co-author and see how it goes, She said, no, think about it, really, you can do that. And in between, I'd written my chapter. I thought, why not? So I started putting things down. I dug into old notes that I used to do, like, you do this, they call, diary and etc. And, I started gathering all these things. And then I remember I had a friend who was doing a lot of trainings on how people can begin to self-realize themselves and know and understand their powers, their purposes, and begin to live that life. And then one day I just woke up and I said, who am I? And I thought, I can write a book about who are you? And that's how the book, Who Are You, came into place. And then in between, I was also going through my divorce and everything. I had moved from my house, and I started living with my kids. I had a long fight for my kids. And I was able to, write another book called The Strength, because I was trying to, fit in. Who am I? I'm trying to realize, who am I? All these things I've been doing, they were to better our life, to better, our relationship and everything, to build my family. But now I am ending up being a single mom with 2 kids. But I said, I have a why. I wake up and look at them and I say, they want me. I want them. They need me. I need them. So I'm going to make this also work. And so that is how I ended up writing 3 books in 3 months.
Oh,
and then
okay, wait a minute. It took me 2.5 years to write my first book. And the book that I'm working on right now, it's probably taken me 5. So, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that.
I know, because the second edition of Who Are You is taking me a little bit longer, because it started last year and it's still, dragging on. But, I was able to write these 3 books because I met somebody on Facebook. They did like a webinar, and they were saying that you can write a book in 3 months. And I was thinking, Janelle Harris, CEO of She Exists, was telling me you can write a book as well, and you can write it even in 3 months. I was like, why is this so, kind of confronting me all the time? And so when these books were written, I was like, okay, so how does somebody do publishing? And I don't know how I came to Amazon, but for some reason, because I buy a lot of things from Amazon, something took me to Amazon. And then I was looking at Amazon because I was thinking maybe I should do some business, get some products. Yes, I got to Amazon because of Shopify.
Okay.
And so I decided, let me look at Amazon. Maybe, you can do a lot of things like Shopify. Instead of having an internet, you can just go to a platform. And I was looking at products and I was thinking, wow, this is tedious. This is a lot of work. And then, as I was just going through Amazon, I saw KDP and I was like, what is KDP? So as I was looking through, I said, it was like self-publishing. And I was like, what? Self-publishing for free? Oh my goodness. And I just didn't know who to ask. And I was like, okay, I will just look at it. I will go through it. And I saw something with the ebook. I said, okay, I will, just the curiosity that you're clicking and uploading something and looking just to test and try and see what is going to happen. Because after all, I have nothing to lose. The books are written, they're there, they can be published anytime until the day I will find somebody to publish it for me and be able, to pay the publishing and take care of all things. I just said, I can try it here. And so I was uploading out of curiosity. I ended up publishing a book. I was like, what? That was amazing, just like that. And so I did all the 3 books as ebooks. And then I started with the hard copy. The hard copy was a little bit a struggle because they have a lot of requirements, especially for the cover and the inside editing and how the wordings are supposed to be, how all that length, width, etc. So that took a lot of time and a struggle and a lot of searching. But for the ebook was very simple. I was very surprised. And so that is how I went on to publishing book. And then I started, with just being able to market the book that we co-authored, the Stepping Into Our Territories. Janelle Harris was very kind. She introduced us to a lot of platforms where we were able to showcase our books, introduced us to a lot of people. And so I was amazed how they were doing the live shows and everything. And so in that networking with her, collaborating with all the contacts she was putting us together, we got a training from a very wonderful lady, amazing lady. She's called Lotus Richie. She has her own talk show that she does also. Very powerful, amazing woman. She trained us on how to, do the live shows and how you can use the platform that she was using. And I was so amazed how much technology has come. And through that, I was also just through the networking and the collaboration is where I was able to become a speaker as well. So I did a training about being a speaker. And then I was invited to speak in the When Real Men Talk. And I was like, are you sure, Terence LaFrage, she is the Mr. Unstoppable. I was like, are you serious? Are you sure you really want somebody like me to be speaking on such a huge platform with, people like Clyde Harris, like, a lot of powerful people.
You're probably one of the most powerful people I have ever met, and I have met a lot of powerful people.
Oh, thank you so much. That's a huge compliment, and that's one of those things, I never knew I would do that. And so when I went to the platform, it was amazing. It was a half an hour speech talking to men. And I was like, wow, who am I to be speaking to men? Here I am, a single mom, and I'm talking to men. How? And it was so powerful. It was amazing. I got a lot of positive feedback from a lot of people, a lot of men especially. I was like, wow, this is powerful. And so just like that, my talk show became even more stronger because then I was I had that courage to, do a lot of interviews. And until now, I've been doing a lot of interviews. I've met a lot of powerful people. I've been able to, start my YouTube channel where also all my, my talk shows are streaming also live when I do my live shows. So I do my live shows Thursdays, Fridays, and now I'm starting on Saturdays. I have specials.
Wow.
Yes. So I was like, wow, this is amazing. And, we sometimes underestimate the capabilities that we have, the strengths that we have, because we have allowed people to place us in a box. And when we begin to come, and mind you, all these people I have been collabing with, I've never met them personally. It's all through, collaboration on Facebook, the networks. That's it. We have never met each other face to face.
Mhm. That is the beauty of the internet. And I just have to think back to when you were talking about that interview, the very first telephone interview you had, and you thought, wow, how is this going to work? This is just so strange. A telephone, if you could have looked into the future and had
Yes.
seen what you would be doing now and meeting people all over the world and talking to people all over the world, I mean, it's almost mind-boggling.
Yes, it is. It is. Sometimes I sit and I say, wow, life can life is really changing, and it is changing very fast.
Hmm.
And people are growing to different levels, and like now there are so many things that people can be busy doing to empower themselves, to inspire, just listening to people's stories. And it's amazing to know that most of the people who have made it in life, powerful people doing very well, they didn't know they would be there. There are people who come from backgrounds where some of them don't have any degrees or any titles, and they have been able to master their space. They've been able to pay attention. They've been able to not allow things to bring them down, and know that, even though there is some negativity thrown against me, it gives me the strength to show that, you know what, that is my ladder to climb to
Mm.
the next level. It's not a ladder to destroy me. And I've been following a very powerful guy, and he's been doing a lot of trainings. He's called Eric Ho. Now he's called Sam Master Sri Akash. And apart from his spirituality, he shows people how he started his businesses. He had nothing, no background, no nothing. He was an introvert. He was, one of those young boys who are very, very, isolated. But now he is a multi-millionaire.
Wow.
He built his YouTube channel like within a year, and he has over 1 million subscribers. He uploads a video and he has over 1 million views in a day. And you're like, that's amazing, from nobody to somebody. And most of the people who talk about their experiences, they have only been doing so far the collaboration on Facebook, networking, and they've learned a lot, and they're looking, and here we are, the technology is now out here, and you can do everything and anything from wherever you are. And, like we were talking before, and we were talking about, there are also men out there who are doing powerful things. And we always say that behind every successful man, there is a successful woman. But I would also want to say, there's women who are powerful, and behind their success, there are also successful men. And it's not all about, having negativity against men or anything. Sometimes you come across men who are really supporting the women to grow into their purposes, to grow into their next levels. And it is so powerful because they allow you, they spotlight you out there and allow you to be you. And they even encourage you to understand that what you see as an hindrance, as an obstacle, that you say, I can't do that, you can. Everybody and anybody can do everything and anything. Nothing is beyond anybody. All you need is your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And when you,
Absolutely.
exactly, and when you begin to change your mindset and say, you know what, I don't need to be perfect like so and so. I just need to start somewhere and learn gradually as I grow. And for me, I never knew I would be speaking to people. I can motivate one person who is just sitting with me, but speaking with a multitude of people was never something that I would thought it would happen. Because even when I was growing up, I wanted to be a journalist and or a lawyer. But because of, lack of finances and being able to afford that, I choose the next, career. And I thought, okay, I will, do my business and economics, and it will also work very well. But you see, even though I have done all that, I am now in a totally different industry. And on the side, I'm doing totally different things. And so, even as we plan things in our lives, we ought to be flexible to change, flexible to identify that I can also be here, even though I started here. The question is, what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on what you cannot do, or are you focusing on what you can do? Or are you trying to put some action? You might not be putting 100%, but the little steps that you take, just like the baby who is born learns to suckle the breast of the mother, then begins to learn how to take solid food, then they are weaned, then they begin to utter some words, then they first learn how to speak mama before you can understand the rest of the words. Then they crawl with the whole body before they can start doing, with their knees, and then stand and begin to, hold together to walk. And then all of a sudden they're not holding themselves. It's the same way life is. We all start as babes somewhere, but it's the interest and the wanting to grow into the next level is what brings you to that place of your purpose, not losing focus of what is burning inside you and what do you really want to see. That change that you want to see begins with you. Nobody else will bring that change for you. No president will change the situation of a country. They will only be there to keep the organizational and the system in place, but they will never change the situation. They will never change your life. That begins with you.
That is so powerful. And now I know, I had my suspicions already, but now I know why you are such a sought after international speaker. You truly are amazing and so empowering. I just love listening to you. That's great. Thank you so much. And
Thank
how
you
can
so much.
people find you?
So people can find me on my Facebook page as facebook.com #Leah Reddig. You can find me on Instagram. I have Leah Reddig and I have Ask Dr. Leah, as well as I have my talk show, Who Are You, that I do Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. And you can also follow me on YouTube channel, also as Leah Reddig. So you just put my name and you will find me. My books are also on Amazon. If you just go and write books by Dr. Leah Reddig, they will all come up. And as well as my website, www.steppinggrace.com. I'm doing a revamp of my website so that it can, instead of having Stepping Grace, it will have Dr. Leah Reddig. So it will be live in a couple of weeks, but still at the moment I am on steppinggrace.com, so people can also find me. You can send me any instant messages and I will always be there to answer. I also do life coaching. I have certified as a transformational life coach, so I do life coaching. I niche mostly on communication, career strategies, and relationships. So, but I can do coaching in generally for every aspects of life, and as well as my. Like I say, writing my books and speaking. And you can also find me on LinkedIn as well. And so, yes, I am out there and I am hoping that I can really change a lot of people's lives, because it must not be financially, but emotionally, and just with my story, that you can be able to know that anything and everything is possible to everybody. You just must want it.
I think that you're changing lives already. And even just from this one recording, I know that the people listening, I'm blown away. I just feel so energized. I can't wait to start doing wonderful things today and, start changing my life.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
such an
you.
inspiration. Thank you so
Thank you
much
very much.
Thank you so much for being here. I just love having you, and I look forward to collaborating with you in the future. And I'm so honored. I will be on your show tomorrow, and I'm really excited about that.
That's
So,
for sure, me too.
do you have any final thoughts you want to leave with the audience?
Yes, my final thoughts will be just take that step. Be courageous and take that step. Don't let anybody put off your light. Just light it and keep it on. And only you can put it out. But don't allow anybody to put that light off. Go out there, put your hands to something and see it grow.
Thank you. That's wonderful. And thanks again for being on the show. I just so appreciate it.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much for having me.
And everybody, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. And make sure you do check out Dr. Leah Reddig's YouTube channel, her LinkedIn, Facebook, website, everything. As you can tell, check out her books too. The woman is absolutely amazing. She is so empowering. I'm so inspired right now. I'm ready to take on the world. So just remember to be bold, be strong, and keep your light shining. And that is the way of the Femininja. And that's a wrap on another episode of the Femininja Project. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, be safe, be strong, and until next time, bye now.